Well, as if government needed any additional complicating factors, I have to say, and I know your listeners are tired of hearing about this, but COVID threw a wrench into all the processes that would have been moving and in play. It slowed things down a lot with respect to fantasy sports. They had gotten a jump start on the rules when I was there. We were prepared to. We had an initial draft of some of the rules. Of course, I left unceremoniously, and the new chairman picked it up after the legislature did what they had to do. And then, of course, this year, sports betting was finally, brought across the finish line. And I do know, having, I still speak to staff up there. They're good friends of mine. I know the folks at the AG's office and state police. And I know that even before the sports betting bill was signed by the governor, those three entities, Gaming Control Board, AG's office, and the state police, were already in place drafting those rules. The formal process can't take place until the governor signs the bill. So it's well underway. I had a conversation with the new chairman, Ronnie Jones, as opposed to Ronnie Jones. And, I kind of reassured him. I said, look, based on everything that I know, it's a bicycle that's already in motion. You just need to get on the seat and keep pedaling. And they're going to get there. But the short answer to your question is nothing about government intransigence and moving at the speed of a glacier surprises me. Never has and never will.
When it comes to sports gaming, there's a lot of folks that you would think would be in the know who have said, oh yeah, you'll be able to make bets, if not by the beginning of football season, certainly by the first of the year. And then I read the rules that have to go, and I'm thinking there's just bureaucracy to moves like a glitch. I just don't see that happening maybe before football season 2022. All the rules that have to go into place, all the payments that have to be made. I don't mean illegal payments. I mean the real ones for licenses, etc. Right. Somebody has to come up with the designs for the kiosks and the bars and the restaurants. At the government level, it's all very complicated. I just don't see it happening anytime soon.
There are lots of moving pieces, and we're talking about sports betting here, not fantasy sports. There are lots of balls in the air, so to speak. I saw Senator Cortez, who was the sponsor of the bill, sometime in the middle of the session, early on, say something like, this will be in place. You can bet on the first game of the Saints season or something to that effect. And I'm thinking, no, not here in Louisiana you won't. That was incredibly overly optimistic, and I think it was just a lack of appreciation by the legislature of what the administrators have to do with respect to rulemaking. Now, is it possible that near the end of football season, and certainly by bowl time? Yeah, that is possible. The timeline is achievable. Now, keep in mind, Robert, you're talking about a couple of different methods for placing bets here. You have the brick and mortar. You'll have sports betting parlors in the 20 casinos in the state where you actually go to a sports bar. They've got, the odds on the screens. You can place a bet there while having a cocktail at a window. That's one piece. In addition to that, we're finally going to be ahead of Mississippi in something other than COVID infections by having mobile sports betting. You'll be able to do it on your phone. So I think the brick and mortar and the mobile sports betting will certainly be possible by the end of football season this year. The other piece, which was a surprise to many legislators, it was a surprise to me, and that is kiosk in bars and restaurants. Senator Cortez reached out to me just for some background and context about, what the board had done in the past on sports betting and my opinion on certain things, and I shared that with him. And when he mentioned he was going to include the capability of bars and restaurants to have kiosks, I asked him just candidly, I said, Senator, if you're going to have mobile sports betting, those kiosks aren't going to do a lot of business. I mean, if I'm sitting in a bar and I've got my iPhone with me, why would I leave my cocktail and go over to a kiosk and place a bet when I can do it on my phone? So his reasoning was, he wanted to help the mom and pop operations, get a piece of this. That's good. And in the great scheme of sports betting in the state, where you're going to be able to do it, that's going to be just a small slice of the pie. And that's going to be longer coming to us in terms of availability than the brick-and-mortar casinos and the mobile applications.
Okay, I'm just speaking for me here, and you can sort of work your way around the question and or the statement I'm going to make. During the legalization process of CBD and medical marijuana, it seemed in my mind that there were at least one or maybe more people in positions of great power in the state of Louisiana government that did not want that to happen. And because of their positions in, and I'll use the term deep state, they at every opportunity, because of their powerful positions, were able to throw up roadblocks along the way. Is there anything that might parallel that in the implementation of sports gaming in Louisiana?
I don't think so. And this is why I think it's kind of a different comparison. If you look at the public sentiment with respect to sports betting, and people are betting on sports every day illegally, but if you look at the vote on that, there was overwhelming statewide, community-to-community support for sports betting. I think it was maybe 55 parishes in the entire state. There's still a lot of concern about medical marijuana, decriminalization. The public hasn't evolved like many of the other states have. They haven't evolved in Louisiana. So there were some people who just wanted to slow that process down. I think it's going to be the opposite, Robert, when it comes to sport betting. I think people in positions of influence are going to want to speed this up. If anything, they want to, do we really have to do that? Yeah, you do. It has to be published in the state register. You have to have a comment period. You might have to have oversight meetings. There's a strict schedule. I don't think there's going to be any. First of all, I don't think there's incentive, and I don't think there's going to be any political capital to be gained by trying to slow this down. I'm very optimistic that this is well underway. It's moving as it should. I think the rules will be the draft rules will be finalized very quickly, particularly now that we have a chairman in place, and I think we're going to see sports betting permitted by the end of the football season.